Everybody, it's Carol Belling. I wanted to just do a super quick video over these objectives so that you have a better understanding of what I'm looking for in this first lesson plan. So these objectives are not going to change a lot for the next few weeks because we're going to be cranking out lesson plans. And for some of you, it's going to be very easy because you're already teaching and you're used to making lesson plans. And for other people, it's the first time they've tried it. So I know that going in, I got a wide range in this class, and I want to be available to help you however much you want or not as much. I don't mind. I don't mind looking at your lesson plan before it's quote unquote due. So that can just help you kind of crank them out a little faster, especially if you have stuff going on around spring break and you want to get done early. This would be a way you could do that. Um, okay, I think that's all I have on that. Hang on. Looking at your objectives, let's walk through these just briefly. So you're going to select and design a lesson plan template. If you want to shoot me, you can export from Common Curriculum your lesson plan into a PDF and shoot me that PDF. You can either send me a link on Slack, which is what I'd prefer because I look for Slack to help my students before I get lost in email, the rabbit hole of email. You can email it to me, but I think you're going to get a faster response on Slack if you just give me a link on Slack or even attach it on Slack. And I'm happy to look at that before it's due, kind of while you're working on it, so you don't feel like you're wasting your time. I don't think there's going to be huge revisions because I'm going to show you in other videos kind of what I'm looking for or what the expectations are with the lesson plans. Okay. You're going to put your standards in, and actually huge round of applause to John and Brad because I believe they entered all the CTE marketing standards, which is amazing. And so you should be able to use this thing right here to search and add them. I haven't gone out and tried it yet, but you should be able to do that now. So that's huge, and I'm very grateful. You're going to write clear objectives, just like these objectives, where you're going to explain what your goals are for the lesson. You're going to develop outcomes just like these down here that explain clearly how you're going to assess what your objectives are. Did the students learn what you hope they learned? So it's really critical that you write good objectives and good outcomes because that's what principals look at to say, are you looking at what your students learned? Are you making sure they learned what you were trying to teach? So this is what I want them to learn, and this is what I know they learned because this right here shows me what they learned. It shows me that I actually taught what I set out to teach. That's really important to understand those two parts of a lesson plan. Okay, so that's objectives and outcomes. Include pre-work. So we want to do some kind of blended work, like a flipped classroom kind of thing. So come up with something that students can do before they come to class to be familiar with what you're going to talk about. This can be listening to a podcast. It can be reading a handout. And I don't like that as much because it's not really blended. But I know if you teach in a really rural area, technology at home may not be there. So I'm willing to flex a little bit on that. But I think I would like for you to assume that students have access to a computer the night before they come to class. So what can you put out there to get them familiar with the topic before they come? Because you might give them a chapter in the book, but is there also something more interesting? Can you create a Quizlet over the basic vocabulary and, and have them do that before they come to class? So think of something interesting, and I give you some ideas down here, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So some kind of pre-work that gives you a blended integration, a flipped classroom aspect to your lesson. Then you're going to organize your instruction using specific time allocations. So I don't have them in mind because I don't teach live. But when I did, I would have exactly how long I expected to do each thing under my procedures. And so you should have that. And that becomes really critical because if you whip through your lesson, number one, you need to change your time allocations. But number two, you start to learn how much time it takes to do each thing. All right, diversify instruction. So this I'm going to look at holistically over all 6 lessons. but I need you to demonstrate that you can teach to different learning styles or different multiple intelligences, whichever way you want to go with that. But I mean, the basics are visual, auditory, tactile, and kinesthetic. Those are the four that I would be at minimum looking for. So consider that as you're thinking about how you're going to teach. Instead of sage on the stage, which is getting up and teaching or talking your lesson, I would say direct instruction like that should be no longer than 10 minutes, which is not very long. My videos are like always right at the 10-minute mark. So when you're creating your instruction, keep in mind, I really don't want to talk more than 10 minutes. How can I break it up? How can I put things in there to keep them engaged, get them up out of their seat, get them writing on the board, writing on the whiteboard, writing on a white post-it. Assume you have whatever materials you think you would like to have, like the giant post-it notes. Are you going to put those around the room? Are you going to have students jump up and do something related to your lesson on the big post-it? Are you going to have them in teams? Are you going to have them work in pairs? Are you going to have them do self-reflection or individual sort of goal setting or thinking about something? So think about all of those things, because you can do that. You can talk for a few minutes and then have you stop and individually write something related to whatever you're talking about. And then you can teach a little bit more, but then put them in pairs, So think about that kind of stuff. That's diversifying your instruction on a very basic level, but I'm looking for something there. And then I talked about pre-work. I had that twice. I do. I think I was trying to sorry, hyper organizing. OCD at its best. Okay. Identify web-based tools you can use within your instruction. If your students will have cell phones, how could you integrate that into your instruction? Are you going to use Slack? Are you going to use Google to collect papers? I would never take hard copy personally. And I'll do a video later on this tool that I use for grading that makes grading so much easier. Are you going to do a Quizlet game? Are you going to do, In Cahoots is the other one. I don't know how to spell it. Okay, I'll look that up, but you get the idea. Cahoots is an awesome game. I mean, it can even be as simple as a PowerPoint Jeopardy game, but give me something that's going to get them engaged that's technology based. And then lastly, you're going to write an assessment and a rubric. And so I know this is a lot, but this is what you learn to do really fast. And the assessment is not, a 50-page test. It might be a 10-point or 10-question online quiz using whatever. There's free online quiz web pages. And so I would do that for now, knowing that if you get hired somewhere where you have Schoolology or Blackboard, you would have those quizzes already built in, so the grades would automatically go into your grade book, and I understand that. But for today, or for those of you not working in a school setting, just find a free quiz generating web page, and there's a few different ones. And then that's a simple assessment, and that's a standardized assessment. That doesn't mean you have to do that. You can do something more interesting, some sort of deliverable that the group generates in class, or you can have an exit ticket that answers some questions relating to what you were talking about. I mean, there's lots of ways to do an assessment, so please go broader than just a test. And that honestly, you've seen how many tests I give you. That's how much I think standardized testing is accurate. Yeah, I don't. So I like project-based assessments. I think it gives you a better read on what the kids have really learned and absorbed. So, okay, 9 minutes. See? 9 minutes, 30 seconds, but I'm done. And your outcome for that is your lesson plan assessment and rubric. So I will detail that in the deliverables. 25 seconds to spare. All right. I hope that helps you understand where we're going. Talk to you soon. Bye.